Mr. Marcin Przydacz, thank you very much for joining me from Poland. First of all, I'd like to ask you about the current situation on the Poland-Belarus border. What's going on right there?
Well, thank you very much for having me. It's very important for us down here in Poland also to be in a direct contact with you, with Kurdish society in Iraq to discuss the current situation at the border. The situation at the Polish-Belarusian border is dire. It's very difficult because the border is very well protected. I mean, there are a lot of border guards. We've built a fence, and we're still building a next fence in order to stop the illegal migration. So it is very low possibility that someone can cross the border without being noticed. And once we notice such a person, of course, it's this person is being asked to go back to Belarus. Because that's the way what the law says. I mean, so it is possible for that person to stay in Belarus for the next couple of weeks or months. And given the fact that the winter is coming in Poland and Belarus, the temperatures are quite low, and it will be even worse. You know that in Poland we have quite harsh winters, -20, sometimes -30. So it's being very, very difficult at the border.
I see.
Yeah.
Marcin, when someone made his way to Poland, they could cross the border and they got inside Poland. If you arrest them, are you handing them back to Belarus, or do you provide camps or tents for them to stay?
Well, there are very few cases of those who succeeded to cross the border. Most of them, they wanted to go, not stay to Poland, to go further to Germany and France. You know, those who are noticed by the Polish border guard at the border, you know, coming from the Belarusian side, of course, they are not allowed to cross the border, so they need to stay at the Belarusian border. But those who, some of them, but I said very few, succeeded to cross this border, there are in our centers waiting to be sent back to Iraq. I mean, to other countries of origin, because
and if they apply for immigration,
if they apply, if they can get international protection, if they are not just economic migrants but any kind of political refugees, then we need to start a special procedure. But so far, not that many cases of application, not that many people applied for an asylum in Poland, because once they apply for an asylum in Poland, they are afraid that they will not apply for the same asylum in Germany. So they will somehow be stuck they get stuck in Poland. Vast majority of those people, they want to apply for an asylum or any kind of protection in Germany. But to do that, they need to be on the territory of Germany, not Poland.
I see. And do you have any number, like how many Iraqis or Kurdistanis right now are in Poland, those who have made their way to Holland, like they have crossed the border?
Yeah, as I said, I mean the percentage of those who succeeded is very.
And do you have any
low.
number?
I do not have the right numbers, but I said there are very few of them, around 1%, maybe less, maybe 1-2% of those who tried to cross were caught by the Polish border guard. But what does it mean? I mean that there are basically sent to the special centers, waiting for the flight back home, for a flight back to Iraq or other cities. So in my opinion, it's not such a good business. I'm paying a couple of $1,000s to spend a couple of days in Belarus and then being sent back from Poland to Iraq. There are far more other options to spend such a big amount of money.
I see. And do you have any coordination with Belarus for protecting your borders?
Well, it is quite difficult since the Belarusian state is quite aggressive, not only towards Poland, but especially to those migrants. There have been several cases of people beaten by the board guards of Belarus, by the KGB officers. We've seen that. I mean, those people were treated in a very bad manner by the Belarusian state. There are a lot of films shot and published on the social media what they do with ordinary people. So first they invite somehow, or they allow to cross the border, and then they use the people as instruments. They just push, they just treat them somehow in a very bad manner.
And in this case, you're telling me that Belarus has a role in this refugee like crisis that your country is suffering from.
They do. They really do. As I said, they use people as an instrument to take a revenge on on Poland or other European countries to push or to exert the kind of pressure, and that's why they conducted this artificial migration crisis. But it's not like this that they want to really help someone to cross the border. They just use people as an instrument in order to destabilize the international or internal security situation at the EU border. As I said, vast majority of those people are not. They didn't succeed to cross the border, but it's not the goal of Mr. Lukashenko. Mr. Lukashenko is just using them as a revenge or as a instrument to destabilize Polish or Lithuanian border.
And how would the EU, because you talked about EU taking revenge from EU, how would EU react to this? Do you think at any point the EU would compromise and tell Belarus, okay, let's sit down on a table on what you want to stop this?
Well, it's very difficult to discuss with Mr. Lukashenko because Mr. Lukashenko is not a legitimate president of Belarus. The election were rigged, and EU has not acknowledged him as a president of Belarus.
But from your perspective, what he is doing today is like trying to press the EU to acknowledge him as the legitimate president of the country. Do you think that he is going to be successful in pushing,
I don't think so.
in putting pressure on the EU?
I don't think so, because I mean, EU has imposed many sanctions on him and or on Belarusian regime. So there are absolutely no signals that there will be any change of the EU policy towards Belarus. The only victim of this policy are the citizens of Belarus and also citizens of other countries, including Iraq, that they are being instrumentalized through because of this weaponization of migration. So it won't bring any change, in my opinion, with regard to the policy of the EU or the United States towards Belarus. Will not, of course, because of only of this pressure, will not withdraw from this policy towards him, because Mr. Lukashenko is very oppressive. There are a lot of repressions towards his own citizens. Several hundred people are still in detention, political prisoners. And because of the values we do believe down here in the European Union, there may not be any change.
I see. And talking about the nationalities of the refugees and refugee seekers, Iraqis and Kurdistanis, are there any other nationalities of your knowledge?
Well, there are some of it. The vast majority are the people from the Middle East countries, but there are also other nationalities from Africa or from Central Asia. basically those who didn't even know what's the reason why they some of them, they thought that they will cross the border with Germany without a no sorry for saying that, but there were some of the people who really thought that they are already in Germany once they met the Polish border. So I think Lukashenko is just taking advantage of those people, trying to, as I said, use them as a weapon against the EU.
I see. And do you have any coordination with the Kurdistan region government or the Iraqi government?
Yes, we do. I mean, we do have a consulate in Erbil in your city, so our diplomats are quite active with regards to your authorities in the Kurdistan, but also we are quite active in a dialogue with Iraqi diplomats in Baghdad and also down here in Warsaw. So I've met.
I see.
We've
And
met several times.
in
The
regards
Chargé d'Affaires of Iraq in
to
Warsaw.
this, in regards to this, like for example, those who have made their way to your country, you want to return them to Iraq. Is there any sort of coordination with Iraqi and Kurdish authorities regarding this?
Yes, there is a coordination. Of course, the Iraqi government and the diplomats based down here, they also, I mean, taking care of those people. They are your citizens or their citizens, so they need to somehow be involved in this process. But the only way for them, I mean, of course, is to go back to Iraq.
I see. So I want to have your final words, Marcin, on your message to the people inside Iraq and Kurdistan who are hoping to make their way to European Union through your country.
Well, my final message would be: don't go to Belarus. I mean, if you are Iraqi or a Kurdi person who would like to apply for a visa, just do it in your respected country rather than go to Belarus, because there is absolutely no chance that you will cross the border. You will get to the trap. You will be deprived from documents and money, and then sent to the forest during the winter time. It will be a very difficult situation for all of you. So don't take this risk. Don't be an instrument in hands of the autocrat, Mr. Lukashenko.
Marcin Przydacz, thank you very much for joining me from Poland.
Thank you. Thank you.